Good morning on a beautiful Tuesday, September 26th. It's a beautiful day. Beautiful day to make great things happen. All right, here we go. We're jumping into it. This morning we have a couple things to launch with you and for you, and then we're gonna wrap it up with a panel of your peers around a conversation around what we talked the last 2 weeks around. Separation is in the preparation. What the heck does that mean, and how are people actively doing it sitting here right now as we head into fourth quarter? And I'm going to share with you three incredibly intentional and purposeful people as to what it is that they're doing now to set them up for 2024 as they look back on 2023. Make sense? Beautiful. All right, so kicking it off, mission, vision, values, beliefs, and perspectives. One of the things that I wanted to share with you guys this morning around our belief system and the Y4C2TEs is two things. One, there's an incredible group of people that have been meeting for the last year, I would say somewhat quietly, but not quietly, depends on how you're plugged in or not. But it's the embodiment of two things. One, teamwork, together everyone achieves more. And two, all around our belief system is equity and opportunities for all. And I wanted to showcase and share with you a little bit of an example of the way in which that this shows up within our culture and our community and our environment. And I've talked a little bit around, a lot for those who've been around a while. I've talked a lot around the concept of Havra and what Havra means within the Jewish faith and how that lives for people and how that shows up. And I wanted to showcase an example of the way in which that shows up in our environment. So take a look at that quick, and then we'll come back to this. Cool. So just take a quick little insight as to what I'm talking about is the way in which that Havra shows up, the way in which people are accountable to each other, the way in which that they're helping each other in order to continue to succeed. Wilson's videos have got me all going. Here we go. Ready?
I am so happy and excited that we have made it a whole year with the FTC meetings. And the FTC meetings are for the culture. It's when all of the Black agents get together at Keller Williams and we congregate, we elevate, we educate, and we empower each other. And we made it a whole year. Everyone's out there right now making vision boards, setting their goals. We're starting to prepare for our new year right now in September. We're trying to be ahead of the game. So I'm really looking forward as well to see how this grows, how it impacts each other. And I never even know who's all coming, but people always just show. So for Icebreaker, I am so
that. I want to give you a little bit of update, and Shawnee, give the group a little bit of an insight and do an example as to what the For the Culture is 1 year into it, and what they should expect for those that are interested in participating next week, Friday the 6th, as it relates to what you're doing. And Shawnee may not know that I'm calling her out based on Lindsay's response.
She's here.
Oh, perfect.
Can you see me or no?
Yep, we can see you and hear you.
Okay, but hi guys. So the FTC meetings happen every first Friday right here at Keller Williams, and we get together and pretty much just elevate, educate, and empower one another. Yeah, it's been happening consistently for the past year, and this is our next one. We kind of just sent out like a save the date. Obviously, I don't know everyone, so it's really just a community reaching out to different folks. People come from different brokerages, and there's also been people who have came to the FTC meetings and decided to join Keller Williams because of the experience and having a Black culture or environment for them to participate in, which has been really awesome. And this month, October, we are going to be focusing on how to keep deals together when they're falling apart because of right now, with interest rates and everything, clients are finding any reason to kind of walk away from a deal. So we're kind of focusing on that. That's all I have to say, I guess, about that. Just kind of
Beautiful. Shawnee, I appreciate it. I thank you for sharing. And guys, the reason why which I'm highlighting this group is it's the embodiment as to who we are and how we approach our businesses and our relationships within our community and also outside our community, and how we can extend ourselves to help elevate the game of real estate with our peers. And I would encourage you, as I've alluded to many times before, like this entire concept of Havre is hard to understand unless you see it in action. And this is another example in the way in which that Havre shows up within our communities. And Havre, basically the gist of it is like-minded individuals who are coming together for a common cause or common good and learning from each other in order to continue to grow each other and building a sense of community. And I think in a world in which real estate, oftentimes many people find themselves on an island or find it difficult or discouraging because they don't find as if, or they don't feel as if they have a community that's going through it together. Like this is an incredible example of people, an accountability group in a way of holding people accountable and how they help each other succeed in order to raise the bar and elevate the bar in which that we operate this business in Milwaukee. So Shawnee, we sincerely appreciate you. Thank you for your leadership and thanks for letting me call you out on a team meeting. Cool. All right. So backing up here, because I was a little out of order, shocking. Couple things to call out. A few other office operations updates. Last week, we talked a little bit around the Keller Williams serving community, and shout out to Sarah Jo Dietrich, Abby Wall, Kelly Nicolanzi, Janine Warner, Sarah Oberbrunner, Charisse, Jean Greco, a consortium of incredible women who are coming together to provide volunteer opportunities for our community to give back where we live, work, and play. This year, or this month, again, we're going to be going back to the Milwaukee Rescue Mission. They serve 800 meals per day, 57,000 nights of shelter a year, 45,000 articles of clothing a year, and we're going to be doing it in 3 shifts in October. The shifts are from 10:40 to 12:45. It's a great way. I talked about this last week. It's an incredible way that if you are feeling a little bit, maybe you need a pick me up, or you're feeling as if you don't have the spunk, or it is that you had a tough year in 2023 and you don't have wind in your sails. It's an incredible way to show up. It's an incredible way to give back. And it's an incredible way to see, you know what it is that I'm going through isn't nearly as hard as those that we're serving in these opportunities. Yes, Jean. Can you bring your teen kids? I would, Connie, do you know the answer to that? Yes, if there's room, you can bring your teen kids. Thank you, Connie. Connie's also part of the committee as well. So it's a consortium of different folks across all the offices that are finding ways in which to give back. I'll tell you, October 19th has already been booked. So October 5th, we're still looking for one more person, and we're looking for one more person on the 26th. So for those that have already registered, appreciate it. Thank you. And we'll get you going. All right, cool. As a little bit of a highlight, Willis is also doing these little series of Willis's 5 and 5, ways in which they asks questions of those that you may not know across a variety of different locations. And ironically, because we also highlighted Shawnee, this week's introduction to 5 and 5 is with Shawnee. So So this week's 5 and 5 with Willis, he's highlighting Laverne Realty Group. Great way for you guys to get to know your peers across the city and to collaborate and to build community. And so Willis, as yesterday, he was kind of prepping me for this. He goes, "This is the season 1 finale." I said, "When does season 2 start?" He says, "Next week." I said, "Beautiful. I like a rolling season." So be on the lookout for that to launch.
I am so happy and excited.
So cool. A few other operations updates. Friday, December 1st, KW Holiday Party, St. Kate Arts Hotel. Be on the lookout for an RSVP coming out very soon so that we can get a head count. And then as a reminder, every Friday and Monday, we're sending out the excluded listings report in order to gather information to share our economies of scale of the listing inventory that we have available that isn't yet on the MLS. So be on the lookout for submitting information there. With that, I'm flipping it over to Lindsay Vranek, who's been working on a big project for about 6 months that's going to elevate and enhance your experience with all the resources you have at your fingertips through kwrealtymke.com. Vranek, I'm flipping it to you.
All right. Good morning, everybody. So last week we rolled out the agent websites through Command. And this week we are rolling out a whole new website, our local site, kwrealtymke.com. recently, got a facelift. So super excited to roll this out to you guys. It's an updated and elevated experience, really meant to kind of pull all of our resources together and get them organized in a little bit of a better way, in order for you to find everything faster and more efficiently. So the biggest update to this website, and you'll find everything that was on the old site on the new site. But the biggest difference is we now have a KW Milwaukee agent hub. And so you'll have to become a member to this page. And essentially later today, you're going to receive an email invite inviting you into this member hub. But this is where you're going to find a lot of the more exclusive resources for Keller Williams agents. So it's an exclusive hub just for KW Milwaukee agents. In this page, you're going to find the KW listing network. So both the submission form and the weekly listing report. So you can expect that link to get updated every Tuesday by 5 p.m. You'll also find the broker's open tour sheet and that submission form as well. Any miscellaneous forms such as the office W-9 forms, the referral forms, commission reduction form requests, team meeting slides, compliance helpline numbers, office rosters, new associate resources, tech and marketing resources, and the showing assistance or Key Please app information. So I'm going to walk through the site in a little bit here, but like I mentioned, look out for an email like this later today. And so a few of you have already requested access to this page. You're good to go. You're not going to receive this email because you're already a member of the Agent Hub and you already have access to it. But for everybody else, you will be receiving an email. It looks like this. It comes from KW Milwaukee. It looks like spam. I promise it's not. It's me sending this out. It looks very generic. So it's just going to say hi, your first name, last name, and then you'll create a password and you can log in with your Gmail account. So it should be a really streamlined process. And it should be really simple, maybe 30 seconds to click this, create an account, and then boom, you get access to everything. But this is just, yes.
Let me give a little context to these guys as to what it is that we're doing and why we're doing it, if that's fair. One of the things that we noticed on our previous site activity was we had peers of ours that weren't within our community that were trying to access our information. And one of the ways in which that we're trying to elevate what we're doing is providing you more access to the information, such as an example is the listing network. And the one way in which that we know how to do it is, yes, we can send you an email and we will continue to send you an email. But we also realize that many people have asked us like, hey, where's that email? I didn't get it, or this, that, and the other, because you're getting 300 other emails and it just gets buried. And so we had to create a gate in which that we could get you access to the information you needed in one simple resource, in a way in which that we knew how to protect the community. And the way in which we do that is we make people log in, and so that we also have access to knowing who's accessing the information and who's not. So for example, Saturday morning, Lindsay was updating this and there was someone from Shore West who was trying to access the Listing Hub network. Now, we had not put the Listing Hub network out in the universe before, but now we have access to understand what it is and what it looks like. So as we continue to evolve our value proposition and resource offerings and making sure that we're protecting those that should be accessing it and those that shouldn't, this is a way in for us in which to do that. Does that make sense? Beautiful. Lindsay, I'm going to flip it over to you for you to share your screen.
Perfect. All right, you guys. 1 second here. All right. So can everyone see this? This is our new site. So we've got the navigation menu at the top. You'll see first and foremost, this button here, the KW Milwaukee Agent Hub. This is going to be that exclusive hub for just KW Milwaukee agents. So I'm going to click into that first. And so if you are not a member, you will not have access to this. But this is where you're going to find our training calendar. This is also on the homepage. But like before, you can add it to your Google Calendar. You can download it, save it to your desktop. here you'll find the KW Milwaukee Listing Network. So the submission form and that listing report. So again, this button link should be updated every Tuesday by 5 p.m. So you can always go back in here and find that listing report if maybe that email got buried. Brokers open. So again, submission form, tour sheet, miscellaneous forms, that's going to open up into that same Google Drive folder that you're used to. If you need that W-9 form for each office, those are all in there. Commission reduction form. The compliance helpline numbers. So this is nice if you're accessing the website on your phone, you can just click and call that number. So we've got both the North Shore Innovation Lake Country line and then the Southwest line. And then if you need to book an appointment with myself or Kathleen, we've got those links on there too. So we also have all of the same office resources. So team meeting slides are still going to get uploaded right in here, office rosters, KW logos, new associate resources, listing and buyer checklists, how to get paid in command, training videos, tech and marketing resources, marketing assets. It's going to link to that same Google Drive folder with all of those 12 direct postcard campaigns, holiday posts, event resources, so all the mega camp resources, and then showing assistance. So if you need to download the Key Please app, all of that's directly in there. So this is the agent hub. And again, you'll get access to this later today. Look out for that email. Back on the homepage, again, we've got the training calendar first and foremost. We also have some links here. KW Marketing Concierge, agent resources, new associate resources. These two are going to link to the agent hub. And then if you need to check out the locations, leadership team, preferred partners, all right in here. And the links are also at the top. So if you need to, book a conference room, you'd want to click on the locations tab. And each link for all 4 market centers are in here. You'll also see if you need that market center number, if you're signing up for Bold, firm license number, tax ID numbers, all of those are going to be in here for every single market center. And so again, if you need to book a conference room, you'll come to that locations page. Leadership team, if you need to get a hold of anyone on the leadership team, you will see all of everyone's information in here, emails, phone numbers, and then the marketing concierge. So this is available for you to click into, and all of the same materials are in here. So if you need to order business cards, listing materials, trifold brochures, yard signs, I combine those all directly in the marketing concierge. So you'll just click into the yard signs and get those ordered. Listing and buyer presentations, again, they're all going to link to the same form request as usual, just a little bit different look. And then I also have on here the print partners across Milwaukee. And then we also have our preferred partners. So if you need to get in touch with somebody, any one of our preferred partners, these are all going to link to each organization's website. And then we also have a Join KW link. So if you know someone who's looking to get licensed or is looking for other opportunities, such as a team opportunity or to join KW leadership, these are all linking to some other forums or to email our leadership team. But this is a great opportunity too if you're talking to another co-broke and having conversations about joining KW. This page is going to highlight what makes KW unique, our different communities. And so you can kind of pull up this page and kind of talk them through maybe our mission, vision, values, all of that. So this is the new site, guys. If anyone has questions regarding the site, where to find something, how to get access to the member hub, just let me know. But this is really geared towards, allowing you guys to find everything faster, more efficiently. It's a one-stop shop, so you'll find everything in here.
Looks great.
Brannick, sincerely appreciate your ability to put all of this in one place. The other thing, guys, that I would tell you is from our experience is there were things in which, because it was a public website, we couldn't put certain things on the website, like the listing network. right? And so we're trying to create a consortium. So everything you need, no matter where you are in southeastern Wisconsin, is right at your fingertips and allows you, okay, what do I do for this? Or how do I access this? Or who do I go for that? It's all in one place and something we've been working on in the background. The other beautiful thing to it is someone who likes data and analytics. What a shocker. It allows us to provide insights as to the resources that you are utilizing and the resources that you aren't utilizing. So the way in which that we know where to invest time, energy, and resources into the things you're using and the things that you aren't, as a way for us to make good decisions about how we continue to elevate what it is that we offer for you on an everyday basis. That makes sense? Beautiful. Vranik, sincerely appreciate it. Thank you for everything you've done to help pull this together and to help us elevate providing all our resources in one place. And if you have any questions, comments, suggestions, or feedback, feel free to hit up any of the team leaders or Lindsay or Kathleen to provide that insight, because we're constantly looking at the way in which that we can evolve what it is that we do and how we offer it to you. So Vranik, thank you very much. All right, here we go. Lieutenant Steph. What do these guys need to know as it relates to compliance updates and some very important updates you may want to be paying attention to, because we noticed someone got in a little bit of hot water recently as it relates to how they managed excluded listings and clear cooperation. So if you don't know what we're talking about, you probably want to tune in at this point. Lieutenant Steph, I'm flipping it over to you.
Morning, everyone. First, Joan and I want to highlight our compliance training schedules for October. So beginning October 2nd, going over the listing contract plus delayed and MLS excluded. October 9th, Joan's going to go over the buyer agency agreement. And then on the heels of that, we're going to have Kathy Shaw from Falk Rubin Gallagher come in and do a mock buyer consultation on Joni and I. So please tune in for that. Kathy's killing it over at FRG, amazing buyer agent and sales executive, and really has her buyer consultation down. October 23rd, special guest, another highlight here, Jared with MLS is going to be here. I'm especially looking forward to this one, how to run MLS reports. So again, I just want to get this out for seasoned agents as well as new agents to put this on your radar. And then October 30th, we're just going to do a Q&A. And then Lindsay just highlighted our new KW Realty MKE website. Again, you can get the access to our trainings. We're live noon on Mondays, and you can get the Zoom link from kwrealtymke.com, and it will take you right there to the to our training. All right. Okay, so it's kind of a two-part series. I wanted to spend a minute, Joni and I wanted to spend a couple minutes on the clear cooperation policy and just remind everybody of its existence. So it was adopted by the National Association of Realtors, and I want to make sure that that is highlighted because this is not a local ordinance. This is coming from our national association. So it was developed in response to agents abusing pocket listings, quote unquote. So that's MLS excluded listings, this idea of single party listings, not opening up listings to the public. So consumers were getting frustrated, as well as other agents. So I believe this was adopted 5 years ago, I'd say now. Reinforces the consumer benefits of cooperation, pro-competitive, pro-consumer benefits that realtors have long sought to support. There is no opt-out option with the clear cooperation policy, meaning a seller can't just opt out of this.
Hey, Steph.
Yes, sir.
Pardon the interruption. Can you please share your screen? It looks like you guys can see it, but those on Zoom cannot.
Oh,
My bad.
thanks, Josh.
You bet. There you go. Got it. Thanks.
All right. Okay. And then also just a note that is, again, mandatory that all realtor associations in every single state adopt the policy and have the same consistent standard as it relates to this. So how the policy reads, and again, this is regarding MLS excluded listings, the single party opportunity. So if an agent within 1 business day of marketing a property to the public, the listing broker must submit the listing to the MLS for cooperation with other MLS participants. So for those of us who are going on our Facebook pages and saying that we have a off-market opportunity, that is considered public marketing. And we need, per the policy, to get that into MLS within 1 day. There are hefty fines for this. Our job is to make sure that we educate you guys and have an understanding that this is out there. But we can't police every single type of reach out that you guys are doing as it relates to MLS excluded listings. So, you know, as a brokerage, we're not responsible to pay your fines if you're caught doing this. So, again, we just need you to be mindful of how you are communicating an MLS excluded listing, which is basically that you can't. So I want you guys to hear it straight from the horse's mouth. And we're gonna have Jared from MLS come in for our meeting next week, October 3rd. He's gonna go over the MLS excluded do's and don'ts as it relates to how you can communicate. And again, if we have any questions, we can ask him directly. And he's just such a great, phenomenal resource for us. So please do not miss next week's meeting. He's gonna stop in. The WRA convention is next week, and he's actually gonna step away from the booth so that he can join us. So then again, just a reminder that the only obligation as it relates to renewing dues, renewing our licenses, is that we only have to renew our GMAR dues this year. So on September 5th, you guys all received an email from Michelle Cohn. The subject heading was 2024 GMAR dues renewal invoice. So please search for that in your emails if you have not paid it already. As Lindsay commented before about the KW Realty Milwaukee email that's going to go out, it's really nondescript. It looks like spam. It's not. So that's all I got.
Cool. Thanks, Steph. Guys, here's what you need to know. If you aren't paying attention as it relates to what it is, the do's and don'ts of excluded listings, you will get caught. 2 examples last week, one internal, one external, both on Facebook. Simple and naive enough, someone threw out, and again, internal in the KW community and external in the KW community. I have opportunities in these communities for off-market listings. Contact me for more information. Internally, we helped educate the associate. Externally, we sent it over to Dina at MLS for Dina to educate that individual that is outside of our environment, but we know very well. And because here's what you need to know. If you're caught, guess what? Ignorance is not an answer. And it's $1,000 a day that you have it marketed that it isn't active in the MLS. So you need to pay attention. And I will tell you, they do hand out fines. And $1,000 a day. We've seen them, we've helped navigate around them, but we just need you guys to be aware, because I think some people are still confused as to what they can and can't do, which is why we're touching on this, because we're seeing more and more of this activity. Make sense? Yes. Delayed listings, no. Excluded in single party listings. So if you have an excluded listing, you cannot publicly share it in any form or fashion in which that you type it or write it. You can make a phone call, and I can make a phone call to Catherine and say, Catherine, I have an excluded opportunity in this community. You don't want a trail of evidence. That's my best advice. On excluded listings, you don't want a trail of evidence. Yes, Mackenzie.
Okay, with a listing going delayed Friday, I can talk about it today or not till Thursday. It's not gonna be on MLS and delayed until Friday.
You have 48 hours on a delay. 24.
So, right, so when you show.
Question. The question is,
The following Friday.
Okay, so
it'll be on
Friday-
MLS.
Friday is when you can talk about it. When
guys, real quick, because you got 130 people here as well. The question came from Mackenzie as it relates to delayed listings. You have 24 hours to enter it into the MLS. Once it's in delayed, you can market it for the 24 hours in advance, but you need to make sure that it's in the system, and then you can market it no matter when it goes live. Make sense? Beautiful.
One more comment.
Last comment.
You could just speak to like the idea here is like, this is
the most beneficial for sellers and buyers to have our listings out in the open market.
It's the comment relates to it's most beneficial for buyers and sellers to have readily accessible information that you know that your peers are playing by the same set of rules. If you don't feel as if your peers are playing by the same set of rules, feel free to pass them along to us and we can help educate. We like to educate before we turn them in. The person we turned in last week was someone who was a habitual offender of the policy, and we had to say, you know what, you just don't get it. So Dina, go to work. Make sense? Cool. Additional questions? We got Jared coming on next week that we can pop into the chat section and we'll ask more. Cool. All right. I'm going to jump through upcoming trainings and events because I want to get to my 3 panelists real quick. So September training calendar, here's what you need to know. One of the things I'm going to call out, Ops and Admin Mastermind, is 10 a.m. via Zoom on Friday, being led by Katie G down in Southwest, along with Diana and Wooten. So if you have an admin thinking about hiring an admin or you're an admin on a team, feel free to jump into that mastermind on Friday. Pizza Call Day is this week, Thursday at noon. If you are interested in learning objection handlers and seeing those that do it at a high level, the reason why we do it in innovation is because no one else seemed to want to do it. And innovation had 20 or 30 people that would show up and they're learning how to do it together. The concept of Havre is real. So if you want to check it out, it's at the innovation office this week, Thursday. Come for lunch. Stay to learn how to talk on the phone. October training calendar. Okay. Couple things to point out. We're hosting a few financial budget masterminds as it relates to how you manage your money. Bold starts October 11th. Okay. Maureen and friends will be on Friday the 20th. We have an ops mastermind at the end on the 27th, along with a few social events in and around the offices throughout the month of October. Be sure to check them out. Make sense? Beautiful. Now, here you go. Bold delivers results. Change my mind. 71 people as of this morning have signed up for Bold. Of those 71 people so far year to date in 2023, they've closed over $650 million in closed production. Life's about choices. You can live with your choice of going to Bold, or you can live without the choice of going to Bold. Totally cool. You live with the byproduct of those choices. If you need a scholarship or would like to donate to a scholarship, please do so. This is the last call, as I will be personally reviewing all scholarship requests tomorrow, and we will be notifying scholarship recipients of those scholarships later on this week in order to help them get into Bold, which starts October 11th. Sound good? Beautiful. Now, here's your weekly insights and trends. And this is the reason why I'm sharing this with you, is in order to set up the panel that's forthcoming. So showing activity is on par with where we saw it last week. No major drop off. Now, last week I showed with you the August insights. This week I'm showing you the latest 24-week insights. The latest 24 weeks is the last 6 months going back to April 10th. Okay. Sales absorption metrics. The red line is the latest 24-week average. At 11.4% of inventory goes under contract in a given week. The reason why I'm sharing you the weekly insights is I'm starting to see some trends that you need to be paying attention to. One, I'm now starting to see some softness on the buyer side of demand. And the reason why I see this or know this is based on the amount of sales absorption rates over the last 4 to 6 weeks. Okay, I went to look at the weekly basis over a 24-week average, which is the latest 6 months, in order to determine, are we seeing an anomaly or are we seeing a trend? We're starting to see a trend of some softness as it relates to buyers. Now, the activity is still good in terms of showing time activity, but it doesn't necessarily correlate into buyers who are getting units under contract as it relates to the total percentage of inventory. Now, a couple other things. Units under contract. Last week, there were 459 units that went under contract. The latest 6 months average on a weekly basis is 440 units. Now, last week could be an anomaly and it could be the start of a trend. I'm not quite sure because 1 week doesn't tell us enough. But if you look back to the last 2 weeks of 404 and 311 and 375, essentially the last 3 weeks, it's significantly lower than the latest 6-month trend. The reason why I believe last week we saw a big jump in the units that went under contract is you look here at the new units that are coming to the marketplace is 569 is the latest 6-month average on a weekly basis. If the last 3 to 4 weeks, 537, 514, 542, 488, it's not a significant dip. It's actually remained pretty consistent, especially if you go back to April through June. You can see new listings coming to the market were anywhere between 500 to 600 units. So new listings are coming to the market, okay? Now, The reason why I don't raise the alarm bells as it relates to why I see some buyer softness is because we're still at around 1.8 months of supply of inventory. We're still seeing inventory move at around 23 to 24 days on market. Like this, the market's still moving fast, but we're starting to see some of maybe some seasonal softness or some of the pressure of where rates are going as from it relates to buyers. Here's a very interesting nugget for you that I don't talk about a lot because it hasn't really been anything interesting to talk about, and this relates to expired properties. What do you see? This is what we would call a hockey stick trend, significant increase in expired properties. There is an opportunity to be the second listing agent in the market. On average, over the last 6 months, there's been 95 expired listings on a weekly basis. The last 2 weeks alone, you saw about a 55 to 60% increase just in the last 2 weeks of expired listings. As you think about what this means and where it is that you're headed into 2024, there could be an opportunity for you to diversify your lead generation strategies if you haven't really focused on expireds or FSBOs. I can tell you over the last several weeks, it's been trending up. There's an opportunity to be the second agent within the marketplace. Okay. Now, how does this all correlate to total inventory? This is actually a positive trend within our industry. Last week, there were 4,323 units that were on the market. Again, the market's still working at a very efficient and active rate. The latest 6-month average is 3,889 units. That's still significantly low for where we are or should be at this time of year. But the tide is starting to rise as it relates to total inventory. The good news is on this is your buyers who may have a little bit of buyer fatigue should have more opportunities to get into the market. So that should set the stage for the conversation we're about to have with it relates to winter is coming. And we've talked a lot the last couple of weeks around fall cleanup and winter renewal. And what I've challenged the group as it relates to separation is in the preparation. Okay. But I've also had many conversations with people to say, what the heck does that mean? So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to ask 3 incredible people a very simple question. What does separation is in the preparation mean for you? And I'm going to kick it off with Kathy Popovich. I'm going to flip it over to Dan Wild, and I'm going to finish with an incredibly intentional and purposeful person in Amanda Schroeder and the way in which she sets up her business. The reason why I led with these 3 is here's what I tell you. Kathy just did this with Team Trimble last week. I observed it. So Kathy, what is separation in the preparation? How is it that you're setting Team Trimble up for 2024? And what are the activities or conversations you're having with the group in order to set them up to have success in 2024?
Wow, that's a mouthful. Okay, so we just had our planning meeting last Thursday, I think it was, and actually some of the timing of what Charlie has been sharing in his great little graph, as well as the social media training that happened on Thursday really were kind of kickstarters for us. So we identified, I guess I'll say 3 different areas that we are planning so that we can be ready for 2024. The first is in goal setting. And we have 3 buckets around goal setting. The first one is income, and that's both active income as well as passive income. So it includes, your active production. So what is your goals around your sphere and the people that you know to actually be working in the business? The second and third are profit sharing and referral. So what are we doing to work on those passive areas of income from a task perspective and a showing up and connection perspective? The second big bucket is in education and training. We're really big in always leaning forward into education and trying to be always getting just a little bit incrementally better at, who we are and how we show up for our clients. And then the third bucket was to identify for each of the agents, where they would want to become a subject matter and area expert. So it kind of gives a focus for each of them to hone in on, because obviously we're a team. What are the areas that they want to deliver value back to our team, as well as to the community at large and to their clients. Do you want me to stop or keep going?
So Kathy, let me just ask you a question, because this is a really good start, right? It's giving some of these guys things to think about as it relates to how they set up 24. What's the time horizon in which that you're holding your group accountable as to when that you expect to start to have these kind of baked as it relates to how you move forward in 24?
Okay, so what we're doing, so we kicked it off with the team meeting, and then we have these Team Trimble huddles that happen every week on a consistent basis. And then we separate them where then I will do individual coaching calls with each of the individual agents. And we have kind of a format that we use for those huddle calls. So this week and next, they'll be identifying along with me and with Karen, our rainmaker, what are the items that they want to do or the tasks they want to do to be able to reach the goals that they're setting. So we're going to help them set some of those goals as well as identify what those tasks are. And then once that is done, I will do a coaching call with each one of them on a weekly basis. And as a part of that, what we're doing is we're trying to identify what are the ahas. So, we believe that each of us is made uniquely and different, right? So play to your strength instead of trying to be someone that you're not. Play to who you are authentically. So, for example, on our team, and I say this all the time, but Katie Thomas is the queen of the thank you note and the touch base note. She writes a thank you note like it's nobody's business, puts a stamp on it, addresses, and it's in the mail in a matter of minutes because it's just something that she does so well as part of who she is. Other people may be better at, being out in the community and doing things more regularly that way. So playing to your strength. And then once you've identified those things, whatever those are, because I want to let our business owners, because we have a business owner mindset, even from the individuals on the team, that we all approach the business as if we own it. And even though we are a team, it's like, what are the things that were working for you? What are ahas that you had in the past week? What are the obstacles that you have maybe come up against? You set a goal and you feel like you're a failure, we're not able to reach it. What adjustments do we need to make? How can we support you better? So it's kind of like a constant conversation about how to get better and to really help them achieve their goals instead of feeling like they're failing.
And what they're setting up is a 1-3-5, AKA a GPS. And a lot of people hear that and they're like, oh yeah, what does that mean? Here's what it means. What's your one goal? What are your 3 priorities? And within the 3 priorities, how do you have 5 strategies in which that you achieve the 3 priorities that ultimately help you achieve your one goal? That's what they're focusing on right now by doing the work introspectively over the next several weeks to set them up for 2024. Kathy, thank you.
Sure.
All right, Dan is wild. Dan, you and I had a conversation last week around the intentionality that you look at as it relates to the sources of your business. Talk a little bit about that for the group, how you look at your business and the way you and Sherry break that down.
Sure. Good morning, everyone. So each year we create a roadmap for our success, and we're going to do it in November. It roughly takes about an hour. So I kind of jotted down what our process is. I'm going to go real quick through this. And if anybody has questions or wants to follow up with me later on to kind of go through this process, please feel free to reach out. So the first thing that we do is we figure out how much money do we want to make. Pretty simple, right? How much money do Dan and Sherry want for next year to be able to live our life and, fulfill the dreams and the things that we want to do, right? And then we go back and we look at the data. So one thing that Maureen shared with us last year was called the multi trends report. I didn't realize this was a thing. I just put it in the chat. And the multi-trends report is a super useful tool that will tell you your total units that you sold last year, your mix of buyers versus sellers, the commission rates, what months you sold it in, all of that. That's really the only report that you're going to need. Then what we do is we take our average commission, we kind of take what we did and we average out the commission. We don't say this is how many sellers, how many buyers. We just come up with an average of what is our commission. And then through that, we simply figure out how many units is it that we need in order to be able to reach that financial target, right? So we take the total that we've earned and we divide that by our average commission, and that'll give us a goal number, right? So, and that's the total number of units. We focus heavily on units because that's what we can control, right? We can always go out and get more units. And so once we have that, once we figured out our number, that's kind of our North Star for the year, But then we dive a little bit deeper and we try to understand, where do those leads come from? So in November, we're gonna look back this year and we're gonna look at all of the leads that we've brought in and we're gonna categorize them. So we've got things like spheres and referrals, and we work with the medical college. So we take doctors on tours and we work with lenders and whatnot. And we figure out how many total leads we had and how many of those leads actually converted to a close. And you'll get what's called your conversion rate, right? How many leads did it take to close one deal? And then you need to figure out how many leads you're going to need. So you're going to take the total number of units times that conversion rate, and that's going to equal your total number of leads. It's not, and I can tell you, it's not a ton of leads. And when you look back at your data and you say, here's all of the sources that I got it from, all you need to do is say, well, you know what, I might get 2 more leads next year from my referrals. And then maybe come up with a plan for how you're going to get those 2 extra leads. Or maybe I'm going to hold another open house next year. I'm going to get 1 more lead from that source. Then what we do is we take our total number of leads and we plot it on a calendar, right? How many leads are we going to need each month? And it's not consistent across the months, right? So some months you're going to have higher leads. Some months are going to be lower leads. They're not evenly distributed, and it's really not a ton of leads. So for this year, we needed 56 leads to meet our goal. That's 56 hand raisers. That's what we call them. Those are people that have said, yep, I'm interested in diving a little bit deeper in real estate. We know not all of those people are going to convert, right? And they're not all going to convert this year. They may convert next year. And I can tell you, on average, it's, at the most, it's maybe 5 leads a month. Right now, we are 8 leads up for the year. We have 7 units left to go to meet our target, but we've met our income goal. We've met our income goal for the year. So it's really taking that big number that you want in your life and just zeroing it down to what are the leads, right? It comes down to leads. How many leads do I need each month? And making that your priority each month.
It's where I love about what he shared is he said 2 things. 1, leads equals hand raisers. 2, he identifies and categorizes his lead sources from where his business has historically come, and then identified where is it that he needs to lean into in order to advance it in the next year. The other thing that I know about Dan and Sherry's business is this. He said he was 7 units short so far year to date for them to hit their goal on a units basis, but because his average price point has increased significantly, he has hit his income goal. However, Dan and Sherry's mindset is we haven't hit our goal yet because we're still 7 units short. So he's focusing on where his lead sources come from, where it is that he can lean into to squeeze more leads out of those sources, and then how do they drive their goals based on the unit basis. And if they drive the goals based on the unit basis, it gets to their income basis. And if they hit it sooner than what the math tells them because their price point went up because the tide rose, that's a win for them and their family. Make sense? Beautiful. Dan, you are wild. I appreciate you sharing your conversion ratio and how you look at it. And guys, if you want any help, feel free to reach out. All right, last one. Amanda Schroeder. I've seen what I call to be the organization maven, the one with the color-coded spreadsheet of everything, who has 1 million different colors and markers. But she's highly organized, has run an incredible business, has built a business in which that she never thought she would get to because of her separation is in the preparation. Schroeder, how is it that you're approaching 2024? What are you doing to set you and your team up now? And how are you parlaying that into future success?
It's Charlie. Hi, everybody. So I'm going to try not to repeat what Kathy and Dan said because we do a lot of similar things on that front. One of the things I think is important to note is that we follow a quarterly schedule and set of goals. So we take the whole year and we break it into quarters. And for us, that works because having a closer time frame goal is really helpful to forcing us to be incredibly intentional with those 3 months. So every quarter we're doing a reflection and a reset. And when we're looking at next year, we're really talking about what activities are we doing in Q4. So what we're doing in the last couple months of the year shows up in the first quarter. So when we're reflecting on Q3 and planning for Q4, we're really keeping in mind where we want to be in Q1 of next year. The other thing that I think is an important piece of this, besides setting up our numbers goals, which, by the way, there's a great funnel in Command that you can use based on how much money you want to make. So don't reinvent the wheel, just use that in Command. It's super helpful. But we also look at, like, how are you feeling right now? What are some themes you're noticing from the last quarter or from this year so far? How does that compare to how I want to feel? And an important piece of that is really being able to identify this big, amazing life you want to have in 5 years and thinking backwards from there. So am I being the person that's going to hit that goal or live that life in 5 years? Am I spending my days like somebody who has that kind of business? And if I'm not, what are the things I can change? Outside of your numbers goals, I think looking at your momentum, like Dan said, how many people you have in your pipeline and where that's going to lead the rest of the year. So looking at how many people you have under contract, people that are in your pipeline who are potentials, who have raised their hand but maybe aren't active yet. So seeing, what's coming, and if it's pretty dry, knowing that you really do need to focus on making more connections with people, and paying attention to those appointments. And then we're looking at what worked, what didn't work, what's worth continuing, being reflective about, your activities and systems, the things you couldn't change, the things that you do have control over, and just recognizing that whole, big perspective on your business, outside of the numbers, because those are the things that influence your numbers. And then we're breaking it down, much like in the One Thing book, into smaller steps. And then we're putting it in our schedule. And I'm pretty intense about my schedule and I highly recommend doing this, but what gets scheduled gets done. So if you put it in a spreadsheet or a calendar or on your phone, those activities being scheduled is the key to actually doing them. And my 3 favorite books for this are The One Thing, The Millionaire Real Estate Agent, and a book you might not have heard of called Your Best Year by Michael Hyatt. And that has a planner based off of it called Full Focus Planner. So I've used that before, a few others. But if you want to know how to do this, we're workshopping it today in Productivity, and anyone's welcome. It's at 10:30 at the North Shore office in person. And we're going to walk through the actual packet that I use with my team for our monthly reflect and reset.
Guys, the other thing that Amanda didn't talk about, but I know she does. She's incredible intentional with her budget and money. And she looks at the ROI of her activities in order to make the determination, was that a good return on the investment that we made as a team or individual or whoever it is that may be? Should we continue to spend those dollars, or are we wasting money by throwing it to the wind and we shouldn't be doing that? So let's stop that in order to redirect those dollars in other ways, in order to make those dollars work harder for us in our business. Right, Schroeder?
Yes, and it helps to have a P&L, but even if you just keep general track of your lead generation activities costs, and know that you're not gonna see a return in the first month. Like, you need to give it at least 3 months to have some kind of data to look at, and those leads take a little while to convert. So keep that in mind, and keep that connections to people running with new people and with your existing people, because you're going to see business from both.
Beautiful. So here's what we're going to do. A couple things for you. First of all, Kathy, Dan, and Amanda, thank you guys. The reason why I chose them, 1, I know they're doing the activities right now, is that the separation is in the preparation. 2, they're incredibly intentional and purposeful people. They're running the business like a business, not like a hobby. And I wanted you to see and hear from those that are running the business like a business and how intentional and purposeful they are, right? So that you can understand the pace in which that you need to operate from if you desire to build a bigger business than what you have today. And you can do that in spite of what the market gives you, right? Secondly, I will take some of the examples, like Dan talked about the multi-year trends. Amanda talked about a packet that she has. Kathy alluded to, and I'll show you what a 135 is, so you can help understand what a GPS and a 135 is. And we will have Lindsay also upload these resources to the KW Realty MKE website so that you can have access to blank templates. And then we'll also share with you how to find your multi-year trends within the system, because there's lots of data to be had. What you do with it will ultimately determine your outcome. Make sense? Awesome. Amanda, Dan, Kathy, thank you guys for sharing and pouring into the group. We sincerely appreciate you. Guys, it's a beautiful Tuesday, September 26th. The Packers won on Sunday. They're going to beat the brakes off the Lions on Thursday. If you'll be there, come find me. I'll be there. I'll buy you a beer. It's like kind of like a Where's Waldo at Lambeau, but I'll be there Thursday. Guys, thanks for showing up. Appreciate you guys. If there's anything you need, let us know. The leadership team is here to serve you, and Lake Country crew will join me here shortly for the Lake Country meetup. Thanks, guys. Have a great day.